believe we live in one of the most crucial hours of the church. We need to see every single person fulfill their destiny.
And it is time that the church start to realize that the earth is watching and waiting for what only we can bring.
Fight Like a Girl is a call to God's daughters to wage the war only they can win. Daughters of the Most High, you are an answer, not a problem. Recapture the power of being a woman. We're speaking about a destiny that is so large that no mortal mind can even have a concept of it. And we find this described in 1 Corinthians 2:9. It says, no eye has seen, no ear has heard, no mind has conceived what God has prepared for those who love him. Now, it says we watch for it, but we've never seen it. We listen, but we have never really heard it. We smell fragrance on this earth, but it does not have the power to transport us to what we are looking for in heaven. You need to understand that everything here in this life is merely a shadow of something yet to come. So why did God put this yearning in us when it really is never totally fulfilled? I believe that God put the seed of beauty in our life to call us back to him. He understood that our longing for beauty, our longing for life, our longing for youth was actually a call back to heaven. And you know, even though we're mortal, we long for immortal and we long for eternal, because we were not made for mortality, we were made for eternity. All right, so we have to think about, what does God say qualifies us for this incredible banquet that no eye has seen, no ear has heard? It said it's simply for those who love him. Now, I would have been afraid if it was those that he loved, because I might think that I was disqualified. I might not think I earned it. I might not think I was good enough to be loved by him. But he didn't say it was those that he loved. He said it's for those that love him. And that makes it so easy, because God is so amazingly beautiful and so easy to love. And God will often reveal imperfections so that it creates a desire for his perfection. You know, we look at everything and we just see it in shadow and in part. But that day is coming where we're going to see it completely. We're going to be known as we are known. So it goes on to say in 1 Corinthians 2:10, it says, but God has revealed it to us by his Spirit. See, there is a place that has the capacity to grasp the revelation of what we cannot understand in our mind or even in our physical bodies. And that is the place of the heart. In the heart, in the spirit, the veil between heaven and earth thins as we are in God's presence. And we get a glimpse of the glory. We get a glimpse of what will be, not what is. And that is really what I want to talk to you about. See, our present cry for beauty and restoration is just a glimpse. I believe that we will experience an utter and complete transformation on every single level. And that is why, you know, we long for this. See, we were not made for this earth. We were made for something else. Ecclesiastes 3:11, verses 11 and 12 actually says, he has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in the hearts of men. Why does God set eternity in our hearts if we're mortal? Is it to frustrate us? I mean, why would he do that? I mean, it seems like an exercise in frustration. But that's not why. He sets eternity in our heart to cause us to live, to get there on the other side. He puts a longing for us to have something more so that we will say there is something more than the here and now. You know, death is a very uncomfortable fit for the sons and the daughters of Adam and Eve. We were never made for death. We were made for life. And so humans, I mean, we don't deal well with death. I mean, the animals don't seem to have any problems when somebody dies and they're structure. But humans, it never feels right because it isn't right. We were made for life. We were not made for death. So it makes sense that humans should fight death, loss, disease, destruction on every single front when we see it, because we're children of God. And God is the opposite of death and destruction. He is life, He is healing, He is restoration. We wrestle with issues of purpose and authority because our garden has been overrun and our dominion compromised. We long to see clutter rooms organized. I love it when, you know, they have the decluttering, you know, programs, and they go into people's houses, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling really good about my pantry right now. People are living in a pigsty. And it's like you see those people, they're cluttered. I mean, everything is everywhere. You're like, how are you even breathing? I mean, some of these people don't even have a place to sit. But you know what's amazing? Usually, those people think they don't have enough, or they think they don't have enough room. But the truth is, they either have too much stuff, or it's just nowhere they can find it. And so when they come in and they organize it, do you see how people are like, no, you can't take that from me? Well, see, a poverty spirit is so busy hanging on to what it has that it actually forgets what it has. And it's so busy looking at what everybody else has that it doesn't see what it has. When we hoard, we actually end up losing access and use of the very things that we have. And so what happens is they go in and they organize the whole house, and it looks great. And I mean, it's almost like the people look different. I mean, all of a sudden they look thinner and stronger. I mean, they're not like earthbound. You know what I'm saying? When you're in clutter, it's like earthbound people. You feel weighed down. There's no comfort in the home. There's no embrace in the home. I love it that God has that kind of dynamic for us. You know what? We need somebody with a different perspective to come into our life, come alongside us, and face what would be overwhelming to us by ourselves. And that is the Holy Spirit. John 14:16 says, I will ask the Father, and He will give you another counselor and comforter to be with you forever. Not just a 24-hour intensive garage sale. I mean, this is a forever, because once He declutters your life, then you got to know how to get your hands on everything that's in it and be able to use it. So we have to understand that is kind of where we are as Christians. Now, most Christians that you talk to, their big day is the day they got born again. I remember the day I got born again. I mean, that was the most amazing day. No, no, no. That shouldn't have been the most amazing day. That should have been the beginning. That should have been the beginning. And today should have been a more amazing day than that day. That's just the start. That's just when the switch got flipped. One of my favorite scriptures is Proverbs 4:18. It says, the path of the righteous is like the first gleam of dawn, shining ever brighter till the full light of day. See, when you first get born again, that's not full light. That's the first gleam of dawn. And then you start down this path. It's like follow the yellow brick road to the Emerald City. I mean, we are not supposed to just stop at the beginning of the yellow brick road and say, someday. We are supposed to get walking down that path of transformation, of wisdom, of recovering what has been lost in our life. So the moment of our change is not our highlight. That is the thing that starts the momentum for change for us. And so we really need to understand that. Austin, my son, he's my second, and he probably has most of my personality traits, which, well, is not always a good thing. But anyway, I love to try to do nice things and model it in front of my children. Because how many of you know sometimes poor people scare you? No, I'm telling you the truth. We were in the grocery store line, and there was this young girl, and she was doing food stamps, and she was buying an inhaler to do drugs instead of food for what was going on in her house. And so I followed up behind her, and I bought her some food, and I followed where she was living. She went into a trailer park. We pulled up into this trailer park, and we went in. And when I saw the way she was living, I was shocked I was in America. She was living with a young man that had got her pregnant. They had a baby, and all three of them had AIDS. and their life was just in shambles. And so I said, you know what, I'm going to go home, I'm going to get some baby clothes, and I'm going to get a dresser, because everything was on the floor, and it was just frightening, and there was a shadow over all of it. And so went home, got the baby clothes, got the dresser, and I'm making Austin come with me. And I watched my son. He was just cowering in the corner. And I was trying to get him to engage, and he was like, and we drove home, and I said, Austin, why weren't you like engaged? Why weren't you nice? He said, I was afraid. See, it should scare us to see people living in the shadow. It should scare us enough that we not only do something for them, but we make sure that we don't live in shadow, that we live in light in every area of our life. Now, the greatest poverty comes when we fail to realize what we have and who we are. There is really a major deception going on that the body of Christ has forgotten who they are. You are sons and daughters of the Most High God. You are not just Christians. You are royalty. Christian means anointed one. Yes, you are Christians, but you have royalty in your veins, which means you should live differently on every single level. Ecclesiastes 3:11, second part says, He has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also sent eternity to the hearts of the men, yet they cannot fathom what God has done from beginning to end. Well, you know, God is kind of a wild God. He finishes something, and then he begins it. I mean, Jesus was the lamb slain before the foundations of the world. Do you know that? I mean, God didn't go, oh no, we have a problem. Adam and Eve fell. What are we going to do? Jesus was already set in place, the lamb slain before the foundation. God wrote the ending of the story before the beginning of the fall. I mean, so nothing surprises God. I mean, and God is so amazing. He has no beginning and he has no end. We can't even grab that. But the whole concept of a makeover is really what we need to get a hold of. We need to understand that we are all destined for this makeover. 1 Corinthians 15:26 says the last enemy to be destroyed is death. 1 Corinthians 15:54 says, then the saying that is written will come true. Death has been swallowed up in victory. You know, God understood that death was scary to us. So you know what he did? He changed its name. Did you know that there's such power in the change of a name? Do you remember Jesus? Jesus, they said, you got to come. Our 12-year-old daughter, she's dead. Tabitha, remember? And Jesus comes and he goes, hey, wait a minute. She's not dead. She's not dead. She's just asleep. See, the definition of death means loss. The definition of sleep means rest. Now, 1 Corinthians 15:54 says, listen, I will tell you a mystery. We will not all sleep, but we will all be changed. He's saying we're not all going to die, but we are all going to be changed. We sleep every night, do we not? I mean, most of us do. Some of us miss nights, but most of us sleep every night. So he's not talking about natural sleep. He's talking about what we know as death that he calls sleep. And why is Paul talking like that? He's adopted the language of the Spirit. He is calling death sleep. That's why they're saying there's no victory in death. It's just sleep for the Christian. It's just a rest before the most amazing dream you could ever imagine begins. There should be no terror in the Christian of death because it's really our transportation to life. For the people that are not saved, yeah, it's a little scary, but for us it isn't. And it says we will not all sleep, but we all be changed. And that word change means to alter, transform, or revolutionize. So there is a change coming. And it is so profound that it's going to make any makeover extreme thing you've seen on television look totally stupid. Because what it compares it to is a kernel of corn compared to the entire plant. 1 Corinthians 15:54 says, when the perishable has been clothed with imperishable, and the mortal with immortality, then the saying that is written will come true. Death has been swallowed up in victory. you know what? We are destined for victory. We do not need to worry that there is not beauty in our future. 2 Corinthians 4:16 says, therefore we do not lose heart. Though outwardly we are wasting away, yet inwardly we are being renewed day by day. Can you believe that God can make you over and flip you inside out? Because that's what he's going to do. And I believe that Christian women can be lovely throughout their entire life. I believe the men should get more handsome throughout their entire life. I believe along with our desire for beauty, there's a little bit of a twist though. Satan doesn't want you to be unique. He wants everybody to look the same. But how many of you can just look around you and know God likes diversity? He doesn't like everybody to look the same. He likes everybody to look unique, to look exactly who they are, not a blended version of everybody else. So we need to be understanding that he is afraid that you will look in the mirror and discover who you really are. He imposes other images on you, trying to get you to conform to it, because he does not want you to be the real you. But there is a world watching and waiting for you to be you and not pose somebody else, which takes me to our next session, which is going to be flawed but authentic. Now you need to understand, God is not looking for perfect people. He's looking for people with a perfect heart. And there's a big difference. You know, as I travel and speak, I have a lot of people say, you know, I just love it that you are so real. I love it. Sister, thanks for keeping it real. I'm like, could somebody like one time say you're like profound? I mean, I always get this keep it real thing. You know, I want to hear like it was deep theological thing, but basically that's about all I get. And I love, I don't want to be fake. I mean, who wants to be fake? But one day I was flying home from a plane, and usually after I've ministered, that means I get on the plane and my head goes to the side and I'm drooling and you know, I mean, I'm just unconscious. And I was waking up and kind of in that between stage, and I heard God say to me, Lisa, I'm looking for something more than real from you. He said, you can be a real piece of wood, and when you go into the fire, you're coming out a real pile of ashes. He said, I am looking for the authentic. And the authentic is different than the real. And for a while, you know, we were so fake for so long that a lot of us have tried to be so real in the church, but we've ended up just being real carnal. Do you know what I'm talking about? And then calling it being real. But God isn't looking for real. He is looking for authentic. And authentic items, when they go through the fire, they come out stronger than when they went in. And actually, the fire is what authenticates them as real. So we need to understand, we need to say, God, have your way in my life. You know what? I changed the way I prayed about, let's see, it would have been 3 children ago. So I think it was shortly after I had Addison. Addison's 19. That would have been 17 years ago. I changed the way I prayed. Before that, I used to say prayers like, God, I want you to surround my life with beauty because you love me. God, I want nice things because you love me. God, I want a nice life. I want you to make it easy for me because you love me. But something happened, and I started praying really dangerous prayers like, God, I want you to excavate my life. God, I want every hidden thing that is displeasing to you taken away. And then I was like, I'm so sorry I prayed those prayers. Did I say excavate? I meant landscape. I meant just plant some bushes around this crumbling foundation. I don't want to see it anymore. But when you ask God to bring his fire into your life, he's so excited about that because he understands what's going to happen. And what happens is you usually start going through some yucky stuff. And the hard places begins to reveal who you are. Now, I'm going to tell you something that I don't like. But the truth is, who you are in the fire is who you are. Now, I was in Linda's steam shower today with spa chemicals all around me because I had a respiratory infection. I would have liked it a whole lot better if God said, who you are on the spa is who you are. But that is not true. It's who you are in the uncomfortable fire is who you are. Romans 8:12 kind of gives an example of the difference between real and carnal or authentic. Romans 8:12-14 says, I'm going to say sisters, because I kind of feel like this is a sister issue. You guys will understand in a minute. Sisters, you have no obligation whatsoever to do what your sinful nature urges you to do. For if you keep on following it, you will perish. But if through the power of the Holy Spirit you turn from it and its evil deeds, you will live. For all who are led by the Spirit are the children of God. Now, what is he talking about here? He's talking about when people annoy you and you just want to slap them. He's saying, okay, now, sister, I know you want to hit this person, but don't do it. Don't do it. Because authentic children of God respond differently than that. And so he's saying you do not have to act that way. Now see, our ability to live over and above our immediate emotional dictates and reaction, regardless of hormone fluctuations, is a God-given, spirit-breathed gift of grace. Christian relationships, marriage, family, business, friendships should be so revolutionary that a world that is steeped in offense, slander, and revenge would be drawn to us. And that is not happening right now. It isn't. Luke 6:28-29 says, bless those who curse you. Pray for those who mistreat you. If someone strikes you on one cheek, turn to him the other. Also, if someone takes your cloak, do not stop him from taking your cloak. Who in their right mind blesses people that curses them? Does anybody enjoy being slapped one time, let alone say, yeah, go ahead, take the other side? No, no, no. This is not a natural human reaction. This is, though, a spiritual reaction. Goes on to say in Matthew 5:44-45, it says, love your enemies. Pray for those who persecute you. In that way, you will be acting as true, authentic children of your Father in heaven. For he gives his sunlight to both the evil and the good, and he sends rain on the just and the unjust too. We are proved to be authentic by our reactions and our responses to our enemies. Don't like that. I would like to be our reaction and responses to our friends, to our enemies. If we are going to be authentic individuals, we cannot be authentic one moment and fake the next. Authentic is consistent. Who you are in private is who you are in public. Consistency is another thing of authentic. I said it the other day, the thing that authenticates the diamond is its flaws, but it allows God a chance to facet something that is flawed, so it can capture light. And so what God is looking for people that, you know, it's not that you will never have anything bad happen to you, but the bad things become a place of beauty in your life. So we have to be women and men that are going to say, we're going to do this differently. Now, I want to say this about husbands and wives, because most people don't get the husband and wife relationship dynamic, then it kind of spills out in some different things. Now, as a general rule, the more refined an object is, the greater its value is, it doesn't necessarily mean it's more durable. Let's look at glass and crystal. Crystal is refined at a higher level of heat, but it doesn't make it less fragile. It makes it more fragile. You say, well, are Christians supposed to be fragile? Oh, we're not supposed to be fragile. We're supposed to be valuable, and we're supposed to be tender enough that we can break easily. Now, I like to think about this analogy about crystal and plastic glasses and regular glasses and maybe like coffee mugs, and I like to think of men as like coffee mugs. I mean, you can drop them, they kind of bounce. I mean, guys are great. I mean, you can just kind of bounce things on guys, and they're pretty hardy. But crystal doesn't bounce very well. And you need to understand women were more refined than men. And the greater refining process of women means they're a little bit more fragile. And that's why we find in 1 Peter 3:7, it says, husbands, likewise, dwell with them, meaning your wives, with understanding, giving honor to the wife as to the weaker vessel, as being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers may not be hindered. Why would we honor that which is weak? Because it's not about the vessel. It's about what the vessel holds. We've really emphasized the weakness. Women are the weaker vessels. It has nothing to do with it. The weaker thing, it says joint heirs of the grace of life. It's like saying we got 5 ounces in a coffee mug here, and we got 5 ounces in a champagne flute. You mess with this champagne, you be toasting too hard with your woman, and she shows up cracked and chipped, I'm messing with your prayers. See, God will always come to the aid of those that are weak, that have less natural defense on themselves. And women have spiritual defense, it's just we don't have as much physical defense. So this isn't about women being wimpy or weak or fainting. It is just that women are to be treated as more fragile because the additional refinement of their nature physically and of their emotions. This is not something, I mean, every time you take something to the next level, it gets a little bit more refined, okay? So women are a little bit more refined. So men need to speak to their women tenderly and not be harsh with them. And women, we need to understand, since the men are commanded to do that, we don't provoke them. We do not provoke them. I mean, there's been times I've provoked my husband to talk to me nasty, okay? So we don't want to do that. So God isn't looking for perfect. He is looking for flawed but authentic.
Thank you for watching The Messenger. We hope you were encouraged and strengthened. To learn more about our ministry resources, outreach programs, and John and Lisa's schedule, visit us online at messengerinternational.org.